What we have discussed in past classes is the fact that the four sons are found in the Torah itself. The Baal Haggadah, the author of the Haggadah, as he says, Keneged Arba'a Banim Dibra Torah, parallel to the four sons, the Torah speaks. We've found in the psukim themselves where the sons are found and why the Baal Haggadah, the author of the Haggadah, actually labels one pasuk to be talking about the Chacham, one talking about the Rasha, etc. What's fascinating now to look at, what we're going to do today, is we're going to look at, is there a parallel actually between the answers that the Torah gives to each particular son and the answer that the Haggadah writes? We would imagine that there would be a perfect consonance between the two, and exactly what the Torah says to answer that son, that's what the Baal Haggadah will say to answer that son. But as you well know, it's never that simple, and we're going to actually find that there's very little consonance between the two, and that which the Torah says to answer the son and that which the Haggadah says to answer the son are quite different, and we'll have to discuss why. So let's have a look at that. We're going to start with the Ben Chacham. As we have discussed previously, the author of the Haggadah finds the son, the Ben Chacham, in Sefer Devarim, and he found him because, as we've discussed previously in the past classes, he says, when ki yishacha bincha machar le'imor, when your son will ask you. And here were the words that caught the attention of the author of the Haggadah. Ma ha'idot v'chukim ve'hamishpatim. What are the testimonies and the statutes and the laws and that God has commanded you? And we've discussed here, he sees these words that the Chacham notices the differences. He notices that all the laws are not the same, they're different types of laws. Again, a very, very wise son asking an analytical question. And the answer that the Torah gives this son is right here in Pasuk Chaf Aleph. It says, Va'amarta lebincha, and you should tell your child, and a line that we know, Avadim hayinu, we were slaves, leparo to Paro bim Mitzrayim, in Egypt. Vayotzienu Hashem, and Hashem took us out, Mitzrayim, from Egypt, biyad chazaka, with a strong arm. So that's the answer which the Torah gives, a simple answer, straightforward answer to maybe a rather complex question, but the answer is, tell your child that God took us out of Mitzrayim. Now let's have a look at what the Haggadah says we should answer the child. And the Haggadah, first of all, starts by saying, Chacham Mahu Omer. It brings us the words of the Chacham Mahu Omer. And sure enough, it quotes exactly what the Torah says, Ma ha'edot v'hachukim v'hamishpatim asher tziva Hashem Elokeinu etchem, word for word what the Torah says. Exactly, the Torah's question is exactly what the author of the Haggadah says the Chacham asks, because that's perfect, word for word. But what we're expecting is the answer is Avadim hayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim. So you answer the son that we were slaves to Paro Mitzrayim. And we're expecting the Baal Haggadah to say it very quick. But all of a sudden you get a totally different answer. And here it is, Va'af ata emorlo, and also you should say to him, Ki hilchot Pesach. You start teaching him the laws of Pesach. And you teach him either all the laws until this last one or only this one, different ways to understand. And what's the law you teach him? Ein maftirin, you do not eat after the Korban Pesach, afikoman, any type of dessert. Ein maftirin achar Pesach afikoman. So this is what you tell the Ben HaChacham. You tell him a law, that there is a law in Hilchot Pesach, that in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, when the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, was standing, and they ate the Korban Pesach, after you ate the Korban Pesach, you would not eat anything else, because you wanted the taste of the Korban Pesach to remain with you, and therefore you didn't eat anything else. But wait a second, there's a beautiful halacha, very deep, great, fantastic. But what does it have to do with what the Torah said? The Torah said you tell about Avadim hayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim. What's going on? And all of a sudden now you start teaching them the laws of Pesach. And they answer, beautiful answer, very simple answer, and that is you have to look at this first word. Ve'af ata emorla. Didn't say and tell them, it said, and even you should tell them. Ve'af ata emorla. And which means is, yes, you give him the answer of the Torah, V'amarta lebincha avadim hayinu, etc., etc. But you also tell him, Ki hilchot Pesach ein maftirin achar Pesach afikoman. And you additionally tell him, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful lesson. It tells us also a lot about education, and that is that you can tell a child a beautiful story, and that's important, and it captures his imagination, it captures his attention, and you have him there. But if you only leave him with a story, then you've missed the point. It won't stay with him. If you want it to stay with him, you have to deepen it. And you deepen it by telling him laws, by explaining to him how he experiences that story. He experiences the story through halakha, through the things he does. And all the way down to this last halakha. And what more beautiful example. Just like you eat the korban pesach, but we want it to remain with you. So don't eat anything after it. Keep that taste as long as you can. It's the exact same thing with the story. You want to tell him, Avadim hayinu lepara b'Mitzrayim. Beautiful. And you're going to capture his attention. He's going to go, wow, and you're going to, deepen it, and maybe you'll act it out, you'll experience it. But that's great for the moment. What's going to happen afterwards? How do you keep it with him? And the answer is teaching him halakha, teaching him the laws, deepen it, explain it to him, give him a real depth of understanding and a breadth of understanding. And that way, the ideas, the concept, the experience even, if you will, of Korban Pesach will remain with him. So that's a beautiful one. The Chacham's a beautiful answer. Let's go on and let's discuss the next, the Rasha. And here, things are going to be a little more difficult.